Okay, all right. Good morning, Billy. Thanks for meeting with me again once more for our final interview.
Hi, great to see you.
And I just want to confirm for the tape that you have consented for this to be recorded and used for KIT 707.
I certainly have.
Lovely, great. So last time we spoke, we mentioned we might have a follow-up interview, which is now. So we'd just like to have, the first question is, what kind of changes or adjustments do you think needs to occur for TARDIS to be able to start getting their head around an information management strategy?
We are, as I've mentioned previously, going through considerable change across the whole of the business, and IT is just one of those parts. And the same approach that I've taken for the other areas, I'll take for this, which is really just to increase my personal knowledge, reach out to others who have expertise in that area, and I have relied very heavily on our external providers. There are some changes afoot there due to their change in personnel, and I might be changing my strategy, might start to look a little bit more from mainland focus if there's some expertise there. But right here, right now, I'm still just considering my options, and it's very much a work in progress. But any input that anyone gives me, I'm very happy to listen.
Excellent. So I guess this is where we come in.
That would be fabulous. Yes,
Fantastic.
I'm all ears. It's not my expertise, so I'm very curious to hear what people have to say.
Okay, great. So we're in a period of change, so now's the time to see what we can do about that.
That'd be excellent, yes.
Okay, so how are resources within TARDIS currently allocated? So, for example, in the recent merger process, how did you decide what resources were needed where during that acquisition period?
It was quite a period of discovery when the acquisition commenced. I was new to the role, so some of the detail was not obvious to me at that time. But let me speak more to what it's like going forward, perhaps. I'm currently in the process of constructing our budget for the 2020 financial year, and what I'm doing is changing the chart of accounts for those who have a finance bent, changing the chart of accounts to reflect our segments and the accountability for each of those. So IT will be incorporated into our operations area and be part of that. So where I have started is to have a look at what existing resources we have, what we've had historically over a 3 to 5 year period, and then try to extrapolate that data to ensure that we have sufficient for growth, covering both our existing needs and our future needs. I will possibly redraft 6 months in and have a look at what that looks like, given it's my first year of budgeting.
Okay, great. So previously it was sort of all in holus bolus, to use a slang term, which some students might understand, but now you're looking to be a bit more segmented and resource focused for particular functions.
Yes, I'm giving greater granularity on each of the items and allocating, in good management practice, allocating the budget to segment heads who can then be responsible for that. So I remove bottlenecks. I also get the accountability, but there's greater clarity across the business as to who's responsible for what and what those financial implications are.
Okay, great. So what are the important factors that TARDIS feels they need to consider when they start to develop their information management strategy? So slightly different focus from the first question. It's not what you need to change, but what maybe is your first step, do you think?
My first step is for me to understand. I like to understand everything myself before I can ask what I hope are semi-intelligent questions. I also like to have an idea of some of the options that are out there. So my approach is always very people-focused. I talk to a lot of people about a lot of things, and then begin to narrow, having started very broad. I will do my own research online. I will speak to peers. I will speak to people in different markets. I'll speak to people locally and on the mainland and beyond. So for me, the very first step is that research and understanding, so that I can make informed comments and then seek people who might be able to help me deliver what I think I'm looking for.
Sounds very sound, so that's great. Sounds very sound. Yeah. So does TARDIS have a long-term service agreement with their IT provider? And if so or not, does it include operational requirements, or are they strategic long-term needs that are also considered?
So when we moved across to the virtual or to the cloud, we discussed moving on a month-by-month basis. I'm currently in negotiations with the provider about the long-term nature or otherwise of that agreement. It does not currently have enough service level agreement protocols in there for my satisfaction, and also binds us unsatisfactorily. In terms of what it provides, it's very operational in terms of following up number of queries from contractors and various other things. The only strategic aspect of it is the ability to bolt on and add, because it's virtual, quite rapidly. Given that we don't own the infrastructure, strategically we can add quickly. But beyond that, it's not strategic. It was strategic in my thinking about providing the support and physical protection of our data, but that's as far as it really goes in the strategic field.
Okay, all right. So I'm also thinking, so now you've gone with the online server and you're looking at that operational versus strategic balance. Is there any other concerns you have hosting the data virtually that could impact how you might use this in the future?
Yeah, one of the things that keeps me awake at night is the fact that I have lost control in some sense of patient records, which of course are important at so many different levels. My concern, coming from a finance and accounting background, is should something happen to the IT provider, for example, that they go into insolvency or administration, that there's an intermediary now between me and my patient records and data. I have grave concerns and have asked for legal input surrounding that access in a worst case scenario, because, as I say, I no longer have that direct relationship or direct control over my patient records. So certainly that's one of the things that I need to get my head around and gain comfort with in a long-term solution. A short-term solution I can do with it, but long-term I need to be able to get some comfort around that point.
Okay, that's understandable. So does the TARDIS existing systems update information about the latest disease, symptoms,